school building. please rise and join us in a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence to honor Dylan Plass, an Attleboro High School student that passed away recently. Thank you. Welcome to the Attleboro School Committee meeting for Monday, February 26th. This is your notice that this meeting is being electronically recorded. To start tonight's meeting, we are excited to host the Attleboro Community Academy for a spotlight event, and so for that I will turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Lori Regan.
Thank you, Chairman Geddes. So tonight we're thrilled to welcome Ms. Jean Hickox, Principal of the Attleboro Community Academy, as well as Mr. Derek George, Assistant Principal, and many of their staff and students as well. They will be showcasing the ACA way and discussing how they immerse the students in their own culture, academics, student choice, and their individual pathways. So with that, I'd like to invite Ms. Hickox to join us at the podium.
Thank you, Ms. Regan. Thank you, School Committee, once again for having us here to share about all the things that are ACA. This year is obviously very unique because we extended the school to include middle school, or what we like to call our junior high model. It's been an interesting journey this year, having a school that's open 8 in the morning to 8 at night. Like any startup, we've had our ups, we've had our downs, but we've put together what I think is a very strong team who's certainly up to the task and who bring an awful lot of expertise. We started this year with 7 middle school students, and we are now up to 16, and we have more referrals coming in on a very steady basis. So we're poised for more good things to come. With us tonight, we have some ACA high school students down at the end, our first ever student council representatives. They're here for moral support. We have Alton, Alex, Nevaeh, and Brett. And of course, our middle schoolers who can step up if you would. We have Ethan, Skya, Caleb, and Eve. And I'm going to turn it over now to Mr. George, and he is going to share with you and the students, really is what we think you want to hear from.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Hickox. Appreciate the opportunity to share some of the great things that have been going on at ACA Junior High. First, I'd like to start off with one of my favorite quotes that resonates deeply within the realm of education. So a teacher opens the doors, but the students must walk through it. At ACA, we believe in not only providing exceptional educational opportunities, but also in creating an environment where all students can thrive. Just as teachers open the door, we ensure that our school doors are not only open, but are inviting, welcoming, and conducive to students' learning. Our approach to education goes beyond traditional methods. We've adopted and implemented many of the high school systems and procedures while also creating some of our own that fit a little bit better for the junior high environment. Some of those systems include streamlined intake processes, which ensure that every student has a good start to their journey and they're on a positive track. Additionally, we embrace innovative tools like Yonder phone pouches, which empower our students to engage fully into their education without distractions. One of our key principles is personalized and individualized learning. We understand that each student is unique and they all have their own strengths, challenges, and learning styles. Through personalized learning opportunities, we are able to meet the students where they are, which then allows the students to grow at their own pace and be able to meet their full potential. With us here today are 4 students that are well on their way to meeting their full potential. And we will start off first with Ms. Skya Copes-Jeffries, who's going to share a little bit about our school culture.
Hello, I'm Skya. I'm a freshman at ACA Middle School. ACA has been a supportive small environment, and I feel like the faculty cares about the students. It has a family atmosphere, and it has helped me in many ways, as I haven't always been the best student. I feel that ACA has given me the opportunity to grow as a young woman. This concludes my statement about school culture at the ACA Middle School.
Thank you, Skya. That was amazing. Our next student that's going to present is Eve Cotton. She just rushed here from her first day on the job. Great job, Eve. And she's going to share a little bit about her experiences with academics at ACA.
Hi, my name is Eve. I'm an 8th grade student at ACA, and I feel like ACA shows a different way of learning and gives us students a new perspective. We have more time to get work done, and we have like a better relationship with our teachers. Our teachers have more of a chance to understand how we learn, and ACA provides a great source of education followed by a great relationship between students and teachers. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to be a part of this.
Thank you, Eve. Our next student is Ethan Almeida. He's going to share about student choice at ACA.
Hello, my name is Ethan, and I am going to be talking about student choice and why it's important. Student choice is very important to, I feel like, this school because we need to interact with multiple students so we can talk to one of another and share our thoughts to each other and have ourselves at least talk and not just, you know. One of the student choices that we have are pottery, where we get to make different types of crafts and we get to socialize to sometimes more of the high school instead of the ACA. We also have mindfulness, where we can be mindful for ourselves and just be very mindful. We also have gym, where every Thursday we would go to the Brennan gym and we would exercise and we would do fun activities. We also have the YMCA, where we get to go swim, and we also get to sometimes go to the gyms or maybe even do some kickboxing. And we also have our incentives, which is where we get to do some field trips, like go on a bowling trip, and we need to earn that by doing very good days. And right now we already have achieved our goal, and we'll be making some calls on Tuesday and getting to see if we can get our things to work.
Thank you, Ethan. Great job, bud. And last but not least is Caleb Bond. He'll be sharing about individualized pathways at ACA Junior High.
Hi, my name is Caleb. Coming to ACA has been a positive experience for me because the people, students, and faculty are supportive. It has helped me to mature in teams of my behavior and willingness to work with other students. There are important life skills because communication and collaboration are essential in life. I feel like I am prepared for high school.
Thank you, Caleb. Thank you all four of you guys for coming up here and sharing some of your experiences. I know at any age this can be difficult to sit in a kind of tough room and talk to people, but you guys did a great job. I appreciate it. And is there any questions?
Yeah, before you all escape, does anyone on the committee have any questions or comments for the middle school students? Mr. Larson? Sure.
I mean, first of all, you guys did a great job, so you should be commended for that. I've been on the committee too long, I guess. I can remember when the high school version of this was really just coming into its own, and this was the next dream of the step. And seeing you here at the table with us means that dream was fulfilled, and you're all a big part of that. So you should all be congratulated for where you are and where you're going. I know you've got a fantastic leader at the high school just waiting for you. It sounds like you've got great leadership where you are also, and sky's the limit. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent. Everything Mr. Larson said, nailed it. Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will say, as the middle school and the staff sneak out, to piggyback a bit on what Mr. Larson said about ACA. I had the opportunity in a previous daytime job to work closely with some of the ACA students, and seeing, to Mr. George's point about relationships and support, his quote at the beginning was perfect as it related to the educators there can open the door, but the students have to take the initiative to walk through it, and seeing the dedication of the staff. As incredible as that is, seeing the commitment of the students to help themselves to succeed is pretty incredible as well. So we're going to pass on the student advisory section of our agenda tonight, and that will bring us to our superintendent's report. Mr. Sawyer?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm sure you've all noticed that in the back of the room we have some hangings on the wall for the first time as we slowly keep moving into this building and getting it to the way we want it to be. For those at home, we have been able to preserve the historical photos that were in the old Zito room and hung them. And we also want to thank Danya Lemieux, the K-12 Visual Arts Coordinator, for her execution and vision of what we see on the wall, and of course, all the student artwork, which has always been an important part of the school committee room. The good news here is that we will be having students in to honor them for their contribution on the wall on March 25th. So we look forward to having them in, and I'm sure you agree with me that it's nice to see that back up on our walls.
Yeah, that was something we badly missed from the old Zito room, and it's much better than looking at a blank gray wall.
Yes, much better. Much better. I wanted to give you a quick update that we told you about how excited we were to have the interface collaborative with the city, and I wanted you to know that it is up and running, and we're already receiving positive feedback from families who have been served. So we're very excited that it's off to a good start, and we hope that it will continue to do the good work of connecting families with this service and getting people the help they need. Wanted to remind you that our second annual community event, Night to Discover, is planned for Thursday, March 14th. At this, we have students from all levels showcasing their learning. We also have community partners sharing resources and services. And we will also have musical performances by the marching band, the middle school chorus, and I know you'll be excited to hear the Attleboro High School K-pop group. You'll get a chance to see them in full glory again. But it's a great night planned. It was a huge success last year, and we're hoping to build on that momentum and do an even better job this year again on March 14th. Just prior to the break, since our last meeting, there was a Massachusetts news story. I don't know if you caught it, but a high school in another community had a situation where they went into lockdown in the high school, and the students, some of the students couldn't contact their parents to tell them that they were locked down, and parents were very upset. As someone who just happened to be watching the story from afar, it very much concerned me, and I just wanted to take a moment to comment on it to the committee. I thought it'd be great to do this while it's not affecting us, so that when our turn comes, we've had a chance to think about these things. I just wanted to say that what concerned me about the news story and how things played out in that community, my concern was that the obligation we have to keep our students safe has to be our first priority. And when people's concerns about their children's safety, which is very understandable, gets in the way of that, we create a situation which is less safe, not more safe, right? So if parents are worried that something's going on at one of our schools, and their reaction is to either call the school to dismiss their child, or to, even worse, come to the school to try to retrieve their child, all of that attention and contact and communication going out of the school actually limits the school's ability to deal with whatever is causing them. In this case, the school had gone into a lockdown, right? So whatever is the reason for the lockdown, in that case, it had been a report of a student having a firearm. Turned out that they investigated and the student didn't have a firearm. But, you know, you have to take that very seriously. So it made a lot of sense to me that the school went into a lockdown. And I can understand why that would be a scary piece of information for parents. But as a school, while the kids are with us, we need parents to trust our procedures and policies and understand that we will absolutely, as we have already done, and I think most parents know what to expect from us, that we will communicate about what has happened, what's going to happen, give the details, let people know what's being done about it, all those kinds of things. I think there's a reasonable expectation that parents want to be informed. But while the event is going on, the idea that parents having access to communicate with their children in real time while that's going on is actually an impediment to the school's ability to meet the crisis. And this is kind of a reality that's new to schools, created by, you know, the technology, which is new, and social media and other factors. So I know that the high school is updating its procedures. We have to, you know, bring them into the realities of this new building, and we're working with, you know, a consultant to help us to do that work in, you know, light of the best practical knowledge of the people who know what they're doing. And so exactly how to handle a situation like that district dealt with, it was something that we will explicitly get into. And certainly there'll be a moment at which in executive session we can discuss in detail how, you know, we think that all should go, and keep the committee informed on what we're doing, because we certainly want there to be transparency to the people that are overseeing the work. But just as an editorial, as someone who happened to be watching the news, you know, before break, it really concerns me that if the expectation is that we're going to cater to people's understandable but fear in that moment is actually something that I think makes our students less safe. And I would ask, and first of all, I think a lot of our parents understand that and are patient and wait for us to communicate. And I want to express my appreciation for all the people who are already in agreement on this, and just ask for patience from parents, and understand that when something like that happens, you will hear from the school. You will be told what's going on. But until the situation is resolved, the first priority of the school has to be to deal with whatever is causing the concern, and that by not giving us the time to deal with that, we cause a less safe situation.
Any questions or comments? I think I know we're discussing really the procedural piece of it, understandably so, but I think in a worst case scenario, I think it's best, and I haven't, hearing your editorializing of it, I haven't spoken with Chief Egney, but I'm willing to bet that he would agree that if there were some type of an emergency where responders are on the campus, having additional family members come to the building, imagine the added, I guess, chaos that can be. So I think that might be a good way for families to recognize that, to your point, we understand the concern, and we will continue to communicate in those situations. Hopefully they do not happen here. But staying away from the campus is really the best course of action, or trying to call the schools as they're trying to call out for assistance, and any added interference can slow the process.
Exactly.
Any other thoughts?
Then my last update for the committee tonight is that next week, Mr. Furtado and I will be meeting with City Hall and having our first discussion about the budget for FY25. You know, as we've already discussed, the number came in lower than we would have hoped and certainly anticipated. So we have our work cut out for us, but we know that we have, you know, committed partners in the city, and you know, we'll have a better sense of what we can expect after that meeting, and we'll keep the committee informed as we prepare our work for the ultimate budget presentation that will be in early April.
Any questions? Any other thoughts?
Concludes my report.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Sawyer. One thing that has come up a couple of times, and maybe it's because I'm new to this role and I wasn't exposed to these concerns as often, but I've heard more of instances of potential students that don't necessarily live in the city enrolling in the schools. And I was wondering if, for our next meeting, we might be able to get a report from the administration about the best ways to report any of those concerns, and a little bit of what the process is that follows and what kind of historical data we might have on how frequently those turn out to be fraudulent enrollees, I guess you could say, versus just unique situations that students and families are in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very understandable that Attleboro is the place to be, and there are lots of people who clamor to be a part of what we're doing here, and we have a responsibility as an administration to make sure that the only people who go to the Attleboro Public Schools are the residents of Attleboro. So we'll be happy to talk about our efforts to live up to that expectation.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions? All right, moving along. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our February 5th, 2024 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. Consent agenda. We have 8 items. So I will entertain a motion to accept a donation in the amount of $178.27 from Bliss Brothers to the Student Council Gifts Donation Account at the high school. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $115.63 from Chipotle to the Class of 2024 Gifts Donation Account at the high school. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $200.62 from Chipotle to the Gifts Donation National Honor Society account at the high school. Motion to accept a payment in the amount of $21.90 from Bay State Textiles to Hill Roberts Elementary School. Motion to approve an overnight international field trip proposal for 64 Attleboro High School students to attend the MASC Spring Conference in Hyannis, March 6th, 2024 to March 8th, 2024. Motion to approve a day field trip proposal for 50 Attleboro High School chorus band members to participate in the Music in the Parks concert and choral festival at Six Flags New England on April 27th, 2024. Motion to approve an overnight field trip for 160 8th grade students to travel to Washington, D.C. from May 28th through May 30th, 2024. And a motion to approve an international field trip proposal for grades 5 through 8 students to travel to Japan for from April 17th, 2026 to April 24th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments about any of those items? Mr. Domenici?
Just curious, is this the first, in my time, the first time we've done a field trip to Japan? It seems to be a new one on the list.
It's not Europe. That's what was
Well,
surprising to me.
their students just finished a trip up at the Galapagos Islands, which I thought was really cool. I don't have an issue. It's just I've never seen one before, so I didn't know if this was, part of an I'd be curious to know what the goals would be for this one. Not tonight, but like maybe I'll reach out to find out what they're looking to do while there. So I was just curious. I didn't know. People have been on longer than I've never seen one.
Same.
Okay. Yeah, that was it.
I'll
Mr.
put in a shameless plug because I know who is leading the tour, and I will, because she took my daughter away for 3 weeks to Australia and the rest of that part of the ocean. They're great trips, and, I realize there's a fair amount of money involved, but it's definitely well worth the investment. The children will come back, the students will come back much different than we sent, and have them exposed to a completely different culture, and it'll be an experience they will remember the rest of their lives.
Well said.
Any other questions or comments? All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next up is our subcommittee updates. We'll start with the Finance and Budget Subcommittee. Turn it over to Mr. Larson to talk about the February 7th meeting.
Thank you. The Finance and Budget Committee did meet February 7th. We had a few items that we went through. Right now, the budget is performing well. We're continuing to shuffle back and forth between the budget and government funding grants that are in place. So that will, continue, as we've talked about in the past, affect what the end of the year looks like. The great news about that is we'll be using that money to help fund next year's budget to kind of make up some of the shortfall that we've talked about in the past. We had one motion to bring forward, and it's pretty much a normal housekeeping that we do at this time of the year. But the motion is to recommend to the full committee some changes in proposed student fees. There'll be no increases to the athletic fees. There's a schedule that was provided to everyone for fee changes at the Attleboro High School Children's Center, and the Abacus is also looking to increase its rates for returning students only in order to meet the increased cost of staffing.
So just for everyone listening at home, can we explain what return students? Oh, sorry.
I need to get a second, then we can have a discussion.
Oh, sorry.
All right. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Can we just give an explanation for the people at home what return students means in this very specific sense?
To the best of my knowledge, it's students that are already in the program that will be returning the following year, because there's not a registration involved to increase.
I thought it was for when they get there. No one's home to pick them up from the bus. Was why I was asking.
Okay.
So
Well, then
they
I'm going to
come
ask. I'm going to ask more clarification then. So.
Two circumstances. One is exactly that, when a student at school takes the bus home and there's not a parent to be met there, where that's a requirement, they get returned or put into Abacus, and there's a fee for that. The other one is when Abacus has closed and the parent hasn't shown up.
Thank you.
So for those at home that may not have heard Mr. Furtado away from the microphone, the two instances where the fee is being increased are students that are not able to get off of the bus and are brought back to the school to Abacus, or students that are picked up after Abacus has closed. Thank you.
Other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And that's the extent of our report.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Larson. Next is the Infrastructure and Facilities Subcommittee. This was their first meeting of this term. So this meeting was on February 12th, 2024. The subcommittee elected Mr. Domenici to be subcommittee chair, so I will turn it over to Mr. Domenici.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to those in my subcommittee who gave me another term as the chair for Infrastructure and Facilities. We met at Coelho Middle School, and part of that reason was to do a tour to show, so we could see some of the areas that are in disrepair at the middle school, specifically around some of the roof leak. So that, I know we had talked at some point in time about whether or not, what the intent of this particular subcommittee should be. We are fully embracing getting into each of the schools when we can. So each time we meet, we'll be meeting at a different school. Coelho was on the list. The previous meeting, we saw work that had been completed. This time around, we were looking at work that we're hoping can get completed with some, as part of our capital improvement plan. We touched on a lot of topics, but the first thing I'd like to do, if I may, is that we do have a motion in place. This is the annual motion for Camp Ramsbottom. To use Willett as a pickup. So I will entertain the motion to allow Camp Ramsbottom to use Willett parking lot as a pickup drop-off for campers from the period of June 24th to August 16th.
Moved.
Second.
Okay. And then typically this is, pickup is at 8:15 a.m. and the afternoon drop-off is at 4:15 p.m. And we talked about how, any work that may be going on will not be impacted by this ability for Camp Ramsbottom. So I'll entertain any questions
Thank you. I know in the past, or if I'm not mistaken, in the past, pickup used to be either at Brennan or Studley. It was here at the high school, and then moved over to Willett because of the construction of the new high school. So based on the letter that we received, they're confirming that Willett was preferred even to the high school as a drop-off spot, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right, so the motion has it. As for the rest of the time spent, we got several updates on several different ongoing projects. Attleboro High School, the new charging stations are in and they're running well. The lighting issue involving the new modem was discussed. We talked about the paint. I know this has come up a couple times at our school building committee. We have one on Wednesday. There were some instances in the new high school where there was some, it looks to be, or at least what we've been told by Sherwin-Williams, the folks who provided the paint, that there was more of a prepping problem than a painting problem. The city administration has made the decision to get a third party just to get another opinion on it, so more to come from there. We also discussed the ongoing air conditioning projects at Studley and Thatcher. We have gotten permission to use the ESSER funds, which is good. So we're in the process of reallocating that grant money to the contracted services to move forward, and will be kept apprised of the status of the process. So that was good news. The extended school year program will be held at Studley this year, as the air conditioning project there will be completed before the scheduled start date. So again, logistically, that's good news. Also, with respect to Studley, we discussed flooring over the summer with the new air conditioning put in. There was a couple of instances with some damp carpeting and some concerns from educators. The administration has been working with the folks at Studley and Principal Boyle. They're identifying different flooring that's going to be replaced. And based upon priority, they'll be done with capital projects funds. So while we continue to have ongoing work on several buildings, unfortunately, while we've done phase one for Willett, and is actively working on that air conditioning, the phase two consideration for the windows and other structures will not be done until next summer. And that's just due to the timing of the bidding process was not going to be able to be completed in time for us to get the work done this summer. We did a little bit of touch on some security measures, talked about cameras and walkie-talkies. And of course, since that time, there's been an article in the paper about the mayor bringing down a proposal to update the camera systems at all 8 middle and elementary schools. So that's now with the council. So that's great news for us. It'll put us all in alignment with the same cameras here, so that the entire district will have the same setup, which is also good. We also talked about the ongoing, or I should say the ending, city solar project. It never really took off, unfortunately. This was a National Grid initiative. It was going to be a citywide initiative to use both school and city buildings to do different solar arrays. Unfortunately, between administration changes and other changes in City Hall, this project was never really carried forth. So at this point, we are considering it a done deal. I will not be updating our committee on this any further. I will update on some asphalt projects. So Hyman Fine, Thatcher, and Studley are targeted. Bless you. Some of the materials in place. We're not sure if we got enough to complete everything, but we're still working with the DPW and the city on these projects. We did spend a little bit of time talking about potential impacts of the fiscal year 25 budget, and Mr. Furtado explained that while we have our list of capital improvement projects and they're not directly tied to the budget, we did, what ended up was just a pretty good discussion about items that are on the list, items that we have prioritized, that we've been asked to prioritize. Since that time, Mr. Furtado has provided our subcommittee with the list of the most updated capital improvements projects and where our prioritizations lie. We talked about some additional landscaping services, in general for the district. There was a discussion about whether or not we should consider having a separate landscaping contract for the new high school versus the rest of the district. Because most of the needs of the other buildings are as they are. We're dealing with a new high school now with a lot different landscape. So although we didn't make any decisions going forward, the administration is working on the next landscaping contracts coming up. They'll keep us apprised. We also talked about, since we were talking about landscaping in the high school, we discussed the high school turf and track. The turf is still got a good useful life for a few years, but it's on the radar of items that will start to come up the prioritization list on the capital improvements as we move forward, because as we all know, the turfs that we have, while it's in great shape, it only has a useful life of a certain amount of time, and I wasn't sure how far away we were. It turns out we've probably got about another 2 to 3 years. So again, just more discussion points there. And then we discussed at this point, I think, because it was in the news about the potential sale of the County Street High School, just ensuring that, we've turned over that building and the adjoining parking lot to the city. So we have no obligations there. Ultimately, when that is sold, should it be sold, those proceeds, as agreed upon, will go towards reducing the debt on the high school bond. So no updates on the other sales of the buildings. I think we only have Abacus Administration currently in the the Briggs Corner School, but Finberg and County are completely cleaned out of anything that we have. So we did cover quite a bit because we hadn't met in a while. I think that covers my report. We did our motion. Everything else has been touched on. So that concludes my report.
Just a quick question I have with Willett. I know that was something we had been discussing as a phase 2 for a while. Was it where you mentioned the timing didn't line up that we could get it in for the summer?
To get everything out for bid in time to get the bidding process done, complete, and then set the project in motion, we wouldn't have everything completed in time for the start of the school year. And given that phase 2 has some pretty extensive work to be done, it's not a project that we can have, in process while we have the school up and running. And so, basically just timing. Mr. Furtado, I don't know if I'm missing anything else on that, so.
Was it anything we could have done to have gotten it quicker, or was it something on the city side putting it out to bid, or? Okay.
If we had done phase 1 a year earlier, we could have done it this summer.
Okay. All right. Excellent.
Mr. Minch, I have one question.
Sure.
Regarding the city solar program, understand why it may not have gone forward with lots of changes in administration. Definitely disappointed to hear that happened, because it sounds like there's really some good opportunities for savings and synergy with the city. Is this completely done, or could we maybe readdress it at a future time?
To our knowledge, this particular opportunity is closed. There was a certain time frame. Whether or not there's the potential to do additional, or have additional opportunities with N-Grid or whatnot, I would have to say that would be something the city administration would have to answer. I'm not aware of anything thus far.
Thank you.
Mr. Larson?
Yeah, we actually were not involved in that project.
Okay.
The city was merely going to be leasing out city-owned property, which happens to be school parking lots,
Gotcha.
to a third party to put solar panels up. And we were just going to be collecting rent. Well, we weren't. The city was going to be collecting rent.
Right.
So it really was not going to impact us directly one way or the other.
Thank you for that.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Domenici.
Thank you.
So that concludes our subcommittee reports. I will now open it up for open forum. Is there anyone here to speak at open forum? Seeing none, I will close open forum. Before I entertain a motion to adjourn, a few reminders. Our next meeting is March 11th here in the Zito Conference Room. Between now and then, this Wednesday, as Mr. Domenici mentioned, school building committee meeting here at 5:30 PM. Our policy and personnel subcommittee meeting is scheduled, our next one is scheduled for next Monday, March 4th. Finance and budget is scheduled to meet next Wednesday, March 6th. Both of those meetings are scheduled for here in the Zito room at 6:30 as well. A note to the community, March 7th, so a week from this Thursday, all of the elementary schools will be hosting their kindergarten information nights. So for those of you with young children getting ready to start kindergarten next fall, please, if you have not already, keep an eye out for communication from the elementary school or contact your elementary school. And then, as Mr. Sawyer mentioned, the Night to Discover event at 6 PM at Attleboro High School on Thursday, March 14th. Any other new business or notes for the committee? Excellent. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Have a great night.